Good morning, fifth grade, or good afternoon. Before we start today's lesson, let's just take a look at the type of problem we'll be solving. We do number 1 says Mrs. Pope baked 30 cookies. 2/3 of the cookies are chocolate chip. Miss Pope gave 3/4 of the chocolate chip cookies to Mr. Welch. How many chocolate chip cookies does Mr. Welch have? There's a lot going on in this problem. We're going to be asked to find a fraction of a number, right? Find what is 2/3 of 30, and then find what is a fraction of that number. So let's take this one step at a time. First, we are being asked to find a fraction of a whole number. So let's practice a few problems just doing that. Let's say, and these first two I'll do, and then you'll have a few to do on your own and add to your notes. Let's say I wanted to find 2/3 of 20. Now, over the last 2 days, we've practiced multiplying across to find fractions of fractions. We can do the same thing here because 20 has a fraction like any whole number. Right? We can make it a fraction by giving it a denominator of 1. Then I'm going to turn my of into a big multiplication symbol to make this 2/3 times 20, and then we can just multiply across to solve. 2 times 20 is 40. 3 times 1 is 3. Now, eventually we'll have to deal with this wonky improper fraction, but for this sprint, let's just practice getting here, just multiplying across. I'll do one more, then you'll have a few to do on your own. The next one we're going to do is find 1/4 of 12. I'm going to do the same thing I did for the first one. I'm going to make 12 a whole fraction by putting it over 1. Then I can replace of with a big multiplication symbol and multiply across. 1 times 12 is 12. 4 times 1 is 4. And I can leave it just like this for our sprint. You have 3 problems for your sprint that you're going to do the same exact thing to find a fraction of a whole number. Make your whole number a fraction by putting it over 1 and then multiply across. Let's pause here and take 4 minutes to do our sprint. For redo number 1, we're going to combine what we learned on Tuesday and Wednesday along with what we just did in our sprint. Miss Pope baked 30 cookies. 2/3 of the cookies are chocolate chip. Miss Pope gave 3/4 of the chocolate chip cookies to Mr. Welch. How many chocolate chip cookies does Mr. Welch have? The first thing I'm going to need to do is to just find out how many chocolate chip cookies there are. I know there are 30 total cookies, and 2/3 of them are chocolate chip. So I need to find what is 2/3 of 30, just like we did in our sprint. And write 2/3 of 30 and solve this first step the same way we did in our sprint. I'm going to put 30 over 1 and multiply across. Two times 30 is 60. And 3 times 1 is 3. Our answer is 60 over 3. Now here we're actually going to have to do some division so we can get a whole number to know exactly how many cookies there are. So we're going to solve 60 divided by 3. We can use long division if we need to. Let's all take 25 seconds to solve 60 divided by 3. Once we've solved that, we now know there are 20 chocolate chip cookies. That's the first part of our answer, but let's write that down. And then we can do the next step. There are 20 chocolate chip cookies. Now, if we look back at our problem, Miss Pope gave 3/4 of the chocolate chip cookies to Mr. Welch. So now we're going to have to find what is 3/4 of the chocolate chip cookies, which was 20. What is 3/4 of 20? And we can solve this the same exact way. I'm going to put my whole number of 20 over 1 to make it a fraction and multiply across. 3 times 20 equals 60. 4 times 1 equals 4. And now we'll have to divide to get an exact number of cookies here. 60 divided by 4. Let's pause for 30 seconds here and solve 60 divided by 4. Once I've solved that, 60 divided by 4 is 15. So 3/4 of 20, 3/4 of the 20 chocolate chip cookies is 15. And that's how many cookies Mr. Welch had. He had 3/4 of our 20. So let's write down our final answer. Mr. Welch has 15 chocolate chip cookies. Let's pause here and get a picture of we do number 1 into our notes. We do number 2 says Jackson bought 20 Bills jerseys. 3/4 of the jerseys are blue. Jackson gave 1/3 of the blue jerseys to Kingston. How many blue jerseys does Kingston have? All right, so Kingston, he's got 1/3 of the blue jerseys, but the first thing we need to figure out is how many jerseys are blue. Jackson bought 20 Bills jerseys and 3/4 of them are blue. The first thing we need to do is figure out what is 3/4 of 20. That will tell us how many blue jerseys there are. We need to know what is 3/4 of 20. First thing we need to do is put 20 over 1 to make it a fraction. Then we can multiply across. 3 times 20 equals 60. 4 times 1 equals 4. Once we're here, we're going to need to divide. $60 by 4, and that will tell us how many blue jerseys there were. Let's take 30 seconds and divide 60 by 4. Once we've solved that, we now know that there are 15 blue jerseys. Let's go ahead and write that down. There are 15 blue jerseys. Now, we also know that Kingston, right, Jackson gave 1/3 of the blue jerseys to Kingston. And there are 15 blue jerseys. So now we need to solve what is 1/3 of 15. Remember here we put that big multiplication symbol. Okay, now on your own, multiply across and then divide to find out what is 1/3 of 15. Let's take 2 minutes to multiply across and divide and finish solving this problem on our own. Once we've solved it, we will have multiplied across. 1 times 15 is 15. 3 times 1 is 3. And then we'll just divide. 15 divided by 3 gives us 5. So we now know that Kingston has 5 blue jerseys, which is our final answer. That's what our question was asking us. let's pause here and get a picture of we do number 2 into our notes. Here's our exit ticket. Miss Balavia has 15 bags of Cheez-Its. 2/3 of the bags are white cheddar. Miss Balavia gives 1/2 of the white cheddar Cheez-Its to Miss Strobel. How many bags of white cheddar Cheez-Its does Miss Strobel have? Here's a frame to help guide you in solving your problem. You're going to want to find out how many bags are white cheddar, right? By multiplying across and dividing. Then you're going to want to find how many of those bags are given to Miss Strobel by, again, multiplying across and dividing. Make sure to insert a picture of your work for your exit ticket and turn in your notes.